So remember what we said, what does layering do? Lions? What does graduation do? Or lower techniques? Compacts. So that's all I needed to know. One question on the top. Do you like it? What? Or do you like it? Oh, I like it. So that reminds me, oh, cool. I'm going to use nice low calm techniques. I'm not going to go into picking it up and doing all this fancy shit when it doesn't need to happen. But what it does let me know is he's, this thing with the hands, and he likes it to sit in a bit of movement. Maybe just a little bit of texture, a little loosening, just to encourage the hair to move. Fantastic. All right. With hair like this, I haven't even touched his hair. I know what Leo's hair is like, but it has been a while since I touched the hair. Just going to have a little assess. What we're doing is looking at fixed factors, the hairline. We've got a really strong nape whorls here, but that's okay because that's going to be covered with long hair. So I'm not too worried. But what it does tell me is that I'm going to have to keep a bit of hair to cover that. We've got this hair at the back. Really important that we be able to see that coming around. So that tells me got to keep that. We can do a little bit of work, a little bit of graduation on the sides here. Just a little bit, nice soft graduation, but long enough so we can still tuck it. Fantastic. And that's going to come in with styling as well. And on the top, we're going to connect the top. See, the top's already like short or shorter. So that's why I asked him, I was like, do you like volume or do you want it to be calm? Calm, fantastic. We're not going to take that any shorter. We're just going to encourage it to move a little bit. A flowed haircut, the front. Again, I'm just going to adjust the edge. I'm not going to see in my head when I'm using these words, they're not just fancy words. They're words that remind me of how I'm going to cut as well. When I say to myself, a shape adjustment or a fringe adjustment, that's literally what I mean. That's how I'm talking to myself. It's like when I go to cut it, the pipeline, I go, I'm just adjusting this. I'm not cutting it or redoing it or because it depends on the mindset that I put myself in. So really this is an adjustment, not a restyle or a change or anything like that. And that's the language that I'll use for myself in this haircut. Now, if it's a different haircut, I'd use different language. If it's a restyle, I'd be like, okay, let's go in and transform this thing. It'd be something different, but it's not. It's going to look similar. It's just going to look neater, sharper, cleaner, and all those words that we said. So we're going to work on the fringe a little bit. That's going to be great. It's really got some beautiful movement. Fantastic. It's quite dense hair. It's a cooler day today, so I don't want to go and spray his hair to death. Again, think about service, okay? Service as well. Does it feel better to be sprayed to death with a cold spray, or is it nice warm water at the basin? Nice warm water at the basin, coming over or into your hair for you. With curly hair like this, if you wash it too much, it's going to go really fluffy, all right? So the approach I'm going to go with today is just conditioner only. No shampoo. It doesn't need shampoo. Shampoo is designed to get the hair clean. The hair is already clean. So again, I got to think of the pH. I really want to keep the hair nice and soft and conditioned. So that tells me just going to use warm water and just going to use conditioner. Okay. And this is a great touch point for the client as well. I can let him know that. I can say, hey, on days that you want to get your hair wet, but you don't want it to be really fluffy, just put conditioner on your hair. Or if you're playing sport or something like that, but you don't want your hair to go fluffy, just jump in the shower. You can get your hair damp with warm water and just use conditioner, and that'll keep it really hydrated and really calm.
Leigh, would you do the scrunch technique with the towel on this baby ball?
100%. Yeah, so I'll show you the towel thing here. Especially with this hair type, you don't want to go crazy with the towel because it can be prone to fluffiness and damage. Okay. Especially after it's had warm water on it, the hair is in its most delicate position. So from here, when I bring the client's head up, I'm just going to squeeze the water out of the hair. I'm not going to go crazy on it. All right. And that's just going to block the dampness out of it. So if you go crazy on it, it can damage the hair really easily and tangle it. So these are hair care tips, right? And I would share all of that with my client. You only ever need to teach them that once and they know it forever. So Leo now knows if there's a day that he doesn't want his hair, we'll stay around the other way. Yeah. So he now knows that if there's a day he doesn't want his hair to go fluffy, but he knows he's going to get it wet, he's just going to be like, all right, I know what to do now. Conditioner only. And look how I'm treating the hair. I'm just blotting it dry. I'm not going mental. And he knows that now. He'd be like, okay, great. Now to keep my hair nice and healthy, do this, do that. So as I'm combing this out, it's becoming really apparent to me where the problematic areas are. The back here is throwing off the balance of the whole haircut. The sides are really nice. The top is pretty good. It's just this bit here is really long. And you could see it when he came in, his hair was a bit like bigger and longer at the back. Now for Leo, he can't see that. He's looking at himself on the side and he's like, yeah, it looks cool. But for us, we can see the full 360. So that's where our kind of professional view comes in. And now that it's wet, I'm just going to play around with the hair and just push it into place and see, make my last, these are like my last kind of assessments. And it's just a bit heavy there. And this can be a really nice adjustment. I can already see what I'm going to do through here. Great. All right. So I'm going to keep it really, really simple for you guys as well. We're going to just go really simple section pattern. Is there a particular place that you like your hair to break, or has it just got a natural break on its own?
I would just right in the middle, like
Just loose in the middle and it just breaks?
like the fringe break.
Yeah, more in here. Well, you just let it go where it wants to go.
Yeah, I never really.
Yeah. And then in the front, it just loosely kind of falls and breaks there. Because he's got like the widow's peak as well. So he's got the widow's peak, so that's going to push his hair in certain directions. So yeah, that's good. So if we fight that, that's going to really be a nightmare. But we're not going to fight it. So first things first, we're going to create our section patterns. So I'm going to split the head straight down the center of the head. That's going to set that up beautifully. And then what I'm going to do is section the hair from the high point. So again, it's the high point or the crown. There's jumping parts here. I feel like Leo's got a double crown. So would it make sense for me to section from the crown? Not really, because he's got a double crown. So what I'm going to do, there's a high point here. So this is the high point of his apex. This is the high point of his frontal zone. This is occipital. This is mastoid. This is the temporal area. Okay. So I'm aware of all of my zones. Okay. High point down to behind the ear. Beautiful. What that does, just like day one, that joins up beautifully with the back hairline. What that does is allows me to have lots of vision over the front section here. And now it's becoming really obvious where everything's gonna fall, and compartmentalizing the haircut now. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So from here, combing the hair down. And I can see, I'm just gonna assess the hairline. Where is the hairline? Great, it's there, here, all the way through. Beautiful. Split. Move that forward. We've met the hairline just here. Great. Section that out of the way. Nice. Now I'm going to set up my contours. Find the wide point. The wide point is the contour here. You can use the comb if you want to, or you can kind of see it. Like we've got a flat surface here, and it turns a corner here. So the rounding's like there. You can see it, especially when the hair is wet. So we're going to start here. I'm going to take this panel all the way through. That's going to set that up beautifully for me there. Great. Okay. And that down. Same on this side. Push. Push. Can see it. There. All the way through. Thumb goes in. Drop. There's our section. Nice and clean. Now all I have to do is go in and check for balance. And the key word there is balance. If you could just shuffle forward a bit on the chair for me. A little bit further. Yep. Right. So if it's ever, for us short guys in the room, if it's ever, you've got to dive into the back of the chair, just get the client to do this. Just get to bring it forward. If you're trying to line someone up or anything like that, and you find yourself diving in the back of the chair, just get them to come forward. Again, everything in this room is a tool for me to get the haircut done efficiently and effectively. Beautiful. Maybe a tiny bit off that corner. Great. Gonna comb all this hair up See how there's like some short pieces there from the previous haircut? So that's a fix factor. That's a fix factor that's I'm gonna have to work with. These ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we're very mindful of those, okay? And now as I'm opening up this haircut, I can start to see where any of the heavy areas might be. Cool. And same in the back. And we're going to do the same pattern as we did yesterday. I'm going to use these 2 points. We've got 2 points here, and I locate the occipital bone. The occipital bone is like right in the middle of the high point and the hairline. So this is really cool. Like if you wanted to go short on Leo's hair, you could create really beautiful shape because the bone structure and the hairlines are so balanced. See that? It's almost like equal distance from the high point to the occipital bone to the hairline. It's pretty cool. Okay, occipital bone, start point, end point, start point, end point. Okay, so we're here, we cross down through to the occipital bone. That's my first section. I've got that, and I could just hold that here, start point, end point, all the way through to here. And that is then set up the coronal area on this head. Nice and clean, beautiful, into my hand. And as I'm going through this, I'm just having a look. There's a couple of shorter hairs in there, but that's okay. That's the ones that are coming in from the top. What that reminds me is my initial assessments were probably quite accurate, where that white was hanging out in the middle. Looks to me where it's thrown off the balance. Great. Twist. And that one can go in. We hold it there. Brilliant. So from there, that's the organization of the zoning of this haircut. Now it's just execution time. You know what we're going to do? So this is why knowing your processes is really important. We're going to layer it instead of graduate it. Now that I've started to do my assessments and my zoning, we're going to keep some of that external length, but I feel like if we graduate it, it's all just going to get too heavy. So we're going to use the razor, and we're just going to create a really nice layering technique all the way through. So it doesn't really matter what side I start on, but I am going to start on this right-hand side, and that's going to set up the guide for the whole haircut all the way around. I could start anywhere. Why? Because it's going to be fairly balanced all the way around. I could start there, I could start there, I could start there, I could start there. It doesn't really matter. But for organization's sake, I'm going to start through here. Okay? Cool. Okay. So you'll notice that I'm using a slight diagonal, a vertical diagonal, because it's closer to the vertical. The reason I'm not using something completely vertical is because it goes against all of the hairlines. So humans' hairlines generally slant backwards like this. And why is that true? Because that one does, and that one does. They're not vertical. They're on a slight diagonal. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the hairline with that. And what it's also going to do is make it really easy for me to create my layering technique. Okay, so before I move, I really want to make sure, how many people's posture are we looking at? Two? Yep. So I look at the client's posture first. He's sat in a really good place. It's really important that their legs are uncrossed as well if you want balance. So if you really want balance in your haircuts, it's important that they don't cross their feet, because that throws off the spine. Okay, and they'll overcorrect their spine. He sat well. I can then stand well, and then I can move on and execute on my technique. So what we can look at here is it was already layered. It's already been layered previously. It might be see how it's on a slight angle here? So it's been slightly graduated. It's on a slightly triangular line as we come out. And that would remind me why there's been weight built up in there. So for me, again, this is just a shape adjustment. Remember I was saying the other day about how you use your razor is going to make a difference? Those are the types of edges that I'm creating. Great. And that is set up. And immediately it's softer. Immediately. It looks very similar, but immediately it's softer. Cool. Split. Move on. So we're here now. have the comb. I'm using the fine side of the comb. I'm here. I see the guide. And again, see the types of edges I'm creating? Drop it down. Beautiful. Okay, move on. Split. Move on. Vertically diagonal. Okay. If I start going horizontal, I know I'm going to be creating something heavier. So you can see how it was graduated before? Because the hair disappears away on a triangular line. Okay, move on. Here. Here.
And Leigh, with this kind of style, would you do this front portion and then do the other side? Or would you just sort of carry it, like go all the way from one side to the other?
Yeah, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stop in the middle of the back. And then I'll go around to the other side and keep going. Join them together in the middle. Okay, split. Move on. Starting to get around the back of the ear now. Find my guide.
Is there a reason you don't measure the other side as well? Like measure your hairline on the other side?
Yeah, because we're not taking a massive amount off. So for me, because it's not a big reset, I feel pretty confident in how this is going to all work out. Great. We're here, we split, we move on. Vertically diagonal. See, that's still close to the vertical. Then not going horizontal. Fantastic. I can see the guide, the short hairs in behind. And if these, I'm going to show you this really cool bit at the bottom here. As we get to, where did he say he wanted to see the hairs still? Behind the ear. We're not even behind the ear yet. We're still above the ear. Now, in this next one, we're going to start to go behind the ear. That's where that hair comes from. Okay. So when we pull it out, it's important that we assess, okay, that bit is coming off. And now this bit, if we want to keep it really long, we can just scoop it away and leave the length to come in from underneath as I hit the mastoid bone. So from here, I'm still vertically diagonal. Come here. Here. And then from here, just scoop that away. So it leaves me some nice edges around the outside. Great, move on. And then we're back in again. Here. Here. So here's where we can see it's dense. That's where that weight was sitting in the middle. As I get to the outside edge, just soften it so we retain density there. Still vertical. Here. Right.
Are there things you're focusing on when you're cutting underhand to have consistent mechanics?
Yes. So that's a great question. The biggest thing is that I have good vision at the start of where my guideline is. So it's so important that I don't use sections wider than the width of the comb. And I need to locate my guide. If I don't locate the guide, so what I'm doing is I'm being aware of the short hairs that I cut previously. And you see them, they're there. So that's where I begin. Good one. And what have you guys noticed with my body position? I've kept moving. So if my body position's in the wrong place, it's going to create density where I actually don't want it. And this is what's going to keep this beautifully fluid. Just right head forward, great. Okay, now I'm just about to meet the center point. Still vertically diagonal. Here, here, guideline. Beautiful. So now what we're going to get, so beautiful flow into the neckline. So if I could still tuck away, it's going to be really easy for him to tuck away. And it's going to contour the head beautifully as that comes and sits around, and he's still going to be able to see the hair in front of his ear. All right, that's one side completely done. Now we're just going to move on to the other side. Vertically diagonal. Here's my first section. And this is where I am going to just check for balance. So, here. And then what I'm going to do is use my muscle memory. I think, okay, that was what we did on the other side. Come in and check. Just slightly longer on that bottom corner. There. Great. Now I'm happy to move on. And it's important that we keep it damp because as the hair is going to keep drying, split, move on. This is the one that I'm working on. Now I've got my guideline. See the short hairs behind. And it gives me the exact guide to work through the haircut and move all the way through this side. So the front hairline, in my opinion, is the hardest and the most fiddly because we're dealing with hair that moves. So it's, as the hairline dips in, it's going to feel strange in the hands. It's not going to be as dense in all areas. As we get to the back, all the sections are the same because it's the most dense hair back there. Great, short hairs in there. Okay, so one of the keys here is to keep the hand in the same place. If the hand starts to pull away from the head, we're going to lose our tension and we're going to start creating a different shape. Here. Purely just a shape adjustment, that's it. Okay, now we're getting to back behind the ear. So this is where we have to be very mindful of our techniques now.
Do you mind if I just readjust?
Yeah, you okay? Cool. So that's really important. If the client's getting uncomfortable or they want to adjust, it's really important because is going to allow me to keep my posture in a good place. So again, it's so important that the client's posture is good so I can keep my posture good and we can keep everything moving along nicely. Okay, split. Move on.
You're using like a lot of tension.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
There is a
I think because of the hair type and because I don't really need to. So when you've got a nice sharp blade, you don't really need to use a lot of tension. If it was a different hair type, maybe. If it was really fine, maybe. But yeah, it's really nice hair to cut. It's a nice new sharp blade. So every new client, it needs to be a new blade in the razor for hygiene reasons and for ease of cutting. Again, you don't be making your life harder than it needs to be. If you're trying to razor someone's hair with a blunt blade, it really works out very well. So you can see where all that previous weight was. Just it's more here. And as I get to the ends, I just let them flow. See all the weight? It's just sitting in that mid band.
Are you using a reference point for like your elevation at all?
Elevation, just coming straight out from the head. Yeah, so I'm more looking at root direction. Really. That's my big thing. As long as the root's in the right direction, I'm pretty happy.
You're just standing in front of the section.
Directly in front, yeah. So notice I'm using open hand, even though I'm layering. Why is that? Because you have to with the razor. It's very hard to layer overhand with a razor. But what's the caveat here? The caveat is, as long as you know where your root direction is going, and as long as you know what your techniques do, you could get the job done however you want. Cool. So we're meeting in the middle now. And all we've got is this last little bit to come away. So now, if we have a look at the back, what we've got is a beautiful silhouette that's going to tuck really easily. And we're creating a beautiful shape with the hair that can be seen behind the ear. So this comes in. All we really did, we worked on the mid band more so than anything else. Just pop your head forward a touch earlier. So now what we've got is a beautiful contoured shape. And all I'm going to do is just work. If I don't quite like the outside edges, I feel like now that we've revealed the hairline, the middle was just a touch too long. So what we do here, balance it up. Fantastic. And then I get to work on the edge if I want to. Work on the surface. So I'm hardly using any tension whatsoever because I love the way that Leo's hair moves. If I'm too forceful, it might lose its movement.
So when you're doing like finer stuff like that, like what are you looking for? So not overdo it.
Just balance. So in the ends, yeah, I look for a level of balance and the softness as well as, yeah, just overall length and balance. That's what I really am looking for, yeah. Just gonna have a little look at the front edges. The front edges are great. The only thing is there's a little long piece here. So again, all I'm gonna do is look for balance and just touch off that little edge. It's just like 1 or 2 hairs. I still want enough there to then come in, sweep away beautifully. Same on this side. I can see just one little, there's like 1 hair, 2 hairs here. That's it. And now we're in, tucking away. Gonna have a look over the ear. Oh, almost lost my comb.
But
Almost had to drop and do press-ups. This is boot camp. Great. All right, now we're into the next stages. So that's everything below the widest points of the head complete. Now what we can do is work into the crown. We'll release the crown. Bring it down. So remember when we did that initial conversation, he didn't want it too big on the inside, okay? So we've reduced the density in the mid-band. Now what we're going to do is keep some density. So we're going to change up our approach. I'm going to start to use over direction to over direct these sections back to the previously cut graduation, okay? So the previously cut layering. So there's only a couple of edges to cut off. So you see before I was cutting on the vertical like this. I can still do that. That still works. I'm following the previously cut guide. But from here, what I know about Leo's hair is it can get very bulky. So I'm going to do 2 things at once. I want to keep the length and the shape, but what I'm going to do is surface cut instead of cutting the edge. And what that's going to do is give it a soft edge rather than a dense edge. So from here, you can see what I'm doing. Cutting the surface. And again, use a slightly curved section this time. Follows the head shape. I'm here, there's hardly anything to cut off. Being really mindful of the elevation. But this gives me a soft edge at the same time as balancing up that contour. So remember when I took the section and I showed you guys that there was like short hairs inside and there was longer ones in the middle? It's coming true now because as I'm doing this, there's hardly any hairs that actually even reach because they were already at the right length. So it was just that mid-band. Here, it's hardly anything to come off. Here, hardly, and you can see there was excess length around the occipital. That's what this here, area here, all this hair, where does this hair fall? This hair falls on and around the occipital. And that is when I was looking at the haircut, I thought, it just looks a little bit too elongated this way. Not this way, it was fine that way. It just looked a little bit too long that way. Great, so now that's the crown area, fully connected into the haircut with beautiful flow. Those hairs were already at a good length. That's why a lot of them didn't even reach, okay? So this is why, again, it's an adjustment. If I went into this haircut thinking, oh, look at all the stuff I'm going to take away, then I might have overdone that, overcooked it, all right? Great, okay. Here again.
Very well. Oh,
hey man, thank you so much.
Okay, as I get down to here, there's not a lot to do.
Okay. Oh. You want to pick up?
You know,
Go ahead, please. Can you prep the food?
okay, again here, I'm just connecting this point. And then when all of that meets, there's going to be hardly anything to come off there.
Leigh, sorry, what was the reason you took the
curved diagonal sections instead of just releasing?
Because it just follows the head shape, yeah, so it makes my life really easy that way. It follows the flow of the head, and reminds me to keep this nice and fluid as I'm coming around the head, all right? So now when I drop this in, this beautiful flow here with this haircut. Okay, fantastic. Now we're on to the final zone, the final piece of the puzzle. So remember that question that I asked was really important. Do you like the air and volume in it, or do you like it nice and calm? Our decision was calm. And we're back to the center again. What I'm going to do here is just have a little look to see if it's connected. It already looks connected. All right. So this is where this haircut was really about adjusting and balancing. I could see that there was something a little bit off balance in the mid band, and that was it. So diagonal forward. Get your head there. Yep. Great. Diagonal forward. And I'm just going to have a check. Why would I do a diagonal forward? Well, for me, the important thing is that the front stays long. If I did it flat, what would that tell me to do? Cut everything the same length. If I did it the other way, it might tell me to over direct it in the wrong direction. So for me, I'm just going to use a little bit of over direction to this back corner, and I can already see that there's hardly anything to cut off in that top section, because even when you pull it down, it doesn't really look like anything needs to be cut. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. Same here. Tiny, tiny bit on this edge. When you start to play around with the hair, it's already got beautiful, beautiful flow. Gonna do the same on the other side. Diagonal forward to see how it flows. It's important to do it on both sides, even if that first side was telling me that everything's gonna be okay, just in case, because we just don't know. Tiny bit of hair. And this side, there seems to be even less. Yeah, there's even less to come off there, because that front bit is already short enough. So the last thing that we're going to look at is the fringe. And remember, again, what was the word that I used? It's an adjustment, not a complete reshape. So what we learn, and you can see my estimations and my guesstimations were pretty accurate from the beginning of even when his hair was dry and I was just looking at it. I felt like remember I said to him, I think it would be cool if it was a little bit shorter in the middle. Now, when you look at the hair, is it longer in the middle or shorter in the middle? It's a lot longer, okay? And that's not a bad thing. It is a look, but what we're going to do, we're going to locate the high point. We're going to do a similar thing to what we did on day one. We're going to get all that hair out of the way. Why? Because it doesn't need to be cut. And what this is going to allow me to do is assess and visualize what's going on. So now I can see, just drop your head down for me. Okay, great. Now I've got the fringe where I want it. Pop your head up again. Cool. Shuffle to the front of the chair for me. Fantastic. So I'm going to make my life really easy for myself. And this is great tips for you guys as well in the shop. So when I assess this fringe from the previous haircut, remember when I was connecting it, there was nothing to connect in that corner because that corner had already been cut. Okay. So when I drop this head down, all I'm going to do is just balance up that middle point. There's just a point here in the middle, which to me is just screaming out that it's too long. I'm going to cut on the surface because I'm going to do two things at once. Create softness and reduce the length at the same time. Great, just put the head back up again. Beautiful. Now when that jumps back up, it's not going to have that density in the middle. It's just going to be a lot more balanced. And have some flow. Now, I can also put some texture in there if I want to. I can create some little channels on these edges, just to loosen up the edges. And what am I looking for? Well, I'm visualizing the dark areas compared to the light areas. The dark areas are going to get touched more than the light areas. So when I look at this, look at the edges, they're all similar now. Before it was darker in certain areas. Same here, when I look at this, they're all similar now. Okay, I'm going to shake this back in. Amazing. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm just going to have a little look and see if the top needs any kind of loosening up or any texture. So I'm just going to have a look here. We could probably just put a little bit of encouragement in there, a little bit of channeling. It's important not to overcut any section, so I would just do this once on each zone or each section of hair.
You're continuing that diagonal forward.
Yeah, whatever I want really. So for me, when I'm adding texture, I'm really thinking about encouragement here. So I was saying it likes the hair to move a little bit. So notice what I'm doing. I'm cutting in channels, and what that does is it puts shorter hairs next to the longer hairs. So instead of pushing the hair up and down, it pushes the hair side to side. So it encourages hair to move next to each other rather than creating volume. Because remember at the start, we said we don't really want volume. So that says don't layer it or don't put anything in there that's going to make this haircut grow too big. So, but what can I do? I can make the hair go like this if I want to, make it move next to each other, which is really cool. Great. And now I get to just touch up these edges. I'm looking at balance now. So where my eye is gone now is purely looking at balance. That's it. I'm not trying to think right or wrong or systems and processes. It's more, to me, that edge looks too dark compared to the rest of it. So all I'm doing is just touching there. And we've immediately lightened up that edge. I can just channel those edges a touch. Notice my elevation, it's very low. Remember, low elevation will keep things nice and calm. Same on this corner. Channels. So when we're channeling, there's, again, another great thing to look at is how deep do you go with a razor? Always use the rule of thirds, okay? So I'll show you a little bit of theory behind that. So if you want to ever texturize a section of hair, you can use the rule of thirds. We can go here, in the mids, or at the ends. So when you see people online smashing the hair like this, You gotta be really careful. That way, if you repeat it, you understand what's happening. Because the deeper you go, the more crazy the hair is going to go. Yeah, so if you're putting short hairs in at the roots, it's going to make the long hairs lift really high and create tons of volume. Okay, so you notice that I'm just working on the ends. Because again, the framework was, we don't want any volume. We just want to keep it nice and calm.
So if you were to do that in the mid lengths, is that like a happy medium?
It's going to make it jump more. Yeah, it will jump more. And then if you did it at the roots, it would go absolutely mental. Yeah. So for this haircut, I really don't want to touch the roots at all. And I really don't even want to go to the mids, especially when it comes to this part. Because again, because it's curly, it will go absolutely mental if you do that. And this is why I chose this tool to get this work done as well. I've done the whole haircut with a razor. Why? Because it is really hard to do with a scissor, especially once it dries. Because once it dries, then you're trying to chip through wavy curly hair. When you saw that when Leo came in and the way we spoke about the hair, it's going to be very lived in hair. It's not going to be overly fixed and placed. We're going to put some product in there and we're going to let it do its thing. All right.
Would you opt for a razor for most curly hair style?
It depends on the end result. Yes, it depends what I want to happen. Sometimes I use the scissor, sometimes I use the razor. It really just depends on what we're aiming for. Cool. So that's the cutting done. We're going to move into the styling now. So again, like day one, like Owen showed you, it's so important that the hair is consistently damp if I want consistent results. We've already discussed how Leo likes to style his hair. So what I'm going to do, some light work from Slick Gorilla. This used to be one of my favorite products. I was working with Slick Gorilla at one point, and this was a really fantastic product. What I am going to do, because Leo's got curly hair and he wants a bit of hydration, a bit of shine, that would be quite nice. I'm going to give the beard oil its debut in the 101 space, and we're going to add a few drops of the oil to the paste just to give it a little bit of softness and shine at the same time, because paste isn't really going to give you much shine. It's just going to give you that formation and the calmness and the hold. There you are. So what I'm going to do is take a decent amount. You're going to take a decent amount of product, and that's going to go into the hand, and we're just going to warm that up into the hand first. Can you give me a couple of squirts of lube, please? I mean, oil.
That's for later.
I mean, grower. Yeah, maybe like 3 drops. 1, 2. 2 more. 2 more. Give the a little 2 more. There, nice. Okay, thanks. Yeah, great. So this is where you guys will start to formulate and get your own kind of mixtures and concoctions. Yeah, I've done that for a long time, and depending on what type of oil you're using, depending on what type of paste you're using. Remember at the start, we were saying like, oh yeah, he was saying it's a bit more like a cream and that kind of thing. And so yeah, just wanted to give it some hold, give the hair some formation, but also give it some hydration as well. And this is going from roots to tips. So the product's going absolutely everywhere in the hair.
Yeah, you mainly using your hands to style it, or are you going to use like a what?
So I'll show you now. So I'll use the wide tooth comb. So because messy hair is just messy hair, right? But professionally messy hair is different, or professionally, lived in hair is different. So I'm back here again. I'm back to my wide tooth. And what that's going to do is help me to guide everything into its position. The thing I love about the wide tooth is it's minimal tension. And what it really does, it really starts to show off the haircut as well. It's already showing me like how it's going to fall, where it's going to sit, how easy this is going to be to do at home. Cool. So if this was me in the shop, let's make this relatable for you guys in the shop. I would really be trying to make the most of this, especially with content. I would definitely do a bit of what we did at the start, a bit of the conversation, but I'd also be doing a bit of the styling. So this looks epic, wet look. That looks really cool. So I'd be getting some of Leigh wet look in the shop, and then I'd also be dressing it in a bit more, if you had the time and the client had time, wet look, because this looks great already. Like, you can just leave this, off he goes, and he's looking awesome. And then if you want to take it, just spruce it up a little bit, all this requires is a little bit of diffuser, and that's it. Anything else? Anything else is going to upset it a bit too much. So super low heat, really low speed. I'm just encouraging the hair. Ideally, if this was a shoot or something, I'd just get them to go for a walk in the sun. You know, let it do its own thing. Just, I'd be like, hey, go for a walk. Like, come back in like 10, 15 minutes. And we see the hair really taking its shape.
We recently do a little bit with the Leigh, but
You can if you want to. It's not really necessary for this haircut because we don't need to create any other movement. It's got loads of movement. But if it was someone else's hair, you could, yeah. Cool, and just cool it down again. Take the heat off. Cool it down. That's that. And then if I wanted to touch it, just a couple more drops of oil, just so the hair doesn't stick to my hands. Then I could just go back in, start to loosen his hair up a bit again. And just shake it up a little bit so it's a bit more like natural and everyday. It's only about 60%, I'd say. It's still got a nice bit of dampness in there because, again, you know, we were talking about like the calmness of it all. Like, we just want it to be nice and calm.
let's like touch it.
Hey, yeah, go for it. It's not very it's lubed up so you can touch it now.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going in.
We use that bit like air dry it.
That now it's just gonna air dry. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some photos, and as we're taking photos, it's just gonna it's gonna keep every minute that goes by is just gonna take a new form. Yeah. So what we could do is take. Oh. So barber chairs are meant to be comfy, right? Ah. No, oh yeah. Cool.
I'm not the only one.
So that's the finished look. Before we go and take any photos, is there any light bulb moments, any cool stuff, any useful things, any things that you thought, yeah, hell yeah, I want to use that? Or
When you're looking at darkness in your channel cut,
yep, that's huge. Yeah,
Yeah, that's big. So that would be
yep. I think the big thing for me is if I was watching that, I'm amazed at how simple it is.
yeah.
High quality hair, super simple.
Got a question for you. Would you never clean, neck line?
Only if it needs it. Only if it needs it. Like if it's adversely affecting the look, which I don't think it is, I would. If it wasn't, no need. Yeah.
Hey, like
So what do you guys see in that's different? Like for me, it's just shape, right? Look at what it's done to his face shape. Like I love how, you know, this is sitting over the face nicely, and it is going to drop more, but it's opening him out just a little bit. You don't want to pull the hairline back. You got really good face shape. It's well balanced. So I think when it's all over his eyes, it's a bit too much. But when it's just open like this, it's spot on, and that is gonna. I mean, that's got enough length to drop. It can drop back down to there if it really needs to. But this is great. It still tucks. It's not too wide anymore. He's got the width behind the ears. The back shape is beautiful. It's all flowing in nicely. It's not too, when he came in, it was a little bit too long this way. It was fine that way. It was just a little bit too long that way. So, yeah, it's all back in the mix now. So I'm going to set up my camera and we'll take some quick portraits if you guys want to see how I go about that as well.